the eighth strategy that people make the mistake of with RSPs, and that's ignoring the potential for the tax deferral. So by doing that, you're definitely not taking advantage of the biggest benefit to an RRSP, and that's that tax deferred growth until retirement. What they're missing out on is that long-term compounding growth in a tax deferred environment. And if you are pulling funds out of the RSP early, like you were mentioning earlier, and you're still working, all of that money coming out of the RSP is going to sit on top of any other income that you earn and potentially push you into a higher marginal tax bracket.
Failure to rebalance can expose you to unnecessary risk or underperformance. So this can really impact your retirement as a whole. So let's take a look at an example of a client that we had dealt with. They were on the track for retirement. This client was 50 years old, so about 15 years away from retirement. Based on their current saving strategies, where were they headed and where could we improve upon? So with this client, as I mentioned before, they're 50 years old. There's 15 years remaining to go until retirement. They were contributing about $5,000 per year to their RSP at the end of the contribution period. So right before the deadline, every year was about $5,000. Their marginal tax rate was approximately about 40%. So they were a pretty good income earner, and they were getting a pretty good tax savings on this contribution that they're making to their RSP. However, the money that they've been putting into their RSP, it was being invested in something a little bit more on the short-term side. They're a big fan of bonds or GICs because they wanted that security. So with that security comes a expected lower rate of return. And also they were not indexing their contributions over time. As their income was continuing to grow, they were continually doing their $5,000 come the RSP deadline. So with that assumption and continuing on over the course of the next 15 years, they would get to a retirement at age 65, and their RSP that started at $100,000 would be about $248,000 after that 15-year period. Not bad. They still made their contributions. They still had growth go on within their account, but there is a lot of opportunity to improve upon that. So Carla, why don't we talk about what our suggestions were and how we can improve that situation for our client?
Of course. Thanks, John. Now, for the new scenario, we implemented strategies that corrected the mistakes from the previous scenario. And for this, still starting with an RSP at $100,000, but we changed the RSP contributions from annual to monthly to capture that longer tax-deferred growth, getting contributions done earlier than later. And what we started doing was increasing the contributions every year according to inflation. And on top of that, utilizing the refund that was generated from the contributions.